Welcome to Ancient Geeks, a podcast where two friends of a certain age who were once geeks and always have been geeks and forever will be geeks journey back in time, or is it the future, to our younger selves when we discovered all the geeky things that we've loved. We were geeks before it was chic. I'm Tom Grant, and I reveal myself to my God.
Well, I am your co-host, Stephen Taylor, and I would like to say that may the blessings of the Bomb Almighty and the fellowship of the Holy Fallout descend upon us all.
Oh, holy bomb. All right. So we're going to be talking about Beneath the Planet of the Apes in this episode. But before we do that, what geeky things have you been doing lately?
Yeah, my geekery continues to be somewhat boring. I'm trying to get through all the geeky things that are relevant to upcoming episodes of this podcast. So I've got nothing really new to report, and all my other activities and energies have been to non-geeky pursuits.
All right. I watched an episode of the 1975 Planet of the Apes cartoon, and it reminded me greatly of the Star Trek cartoon,
Yeah,
not
I
just
think
because of the bad animation, but also wondering who thought this would be a kids cartoon. This doesn't seem to work for kids, but it was watchable if a little padded. I don't know.
right. And
Have
I
you seen it
feel like I
before?
did see a clip of it because of this. I don't think I was aware of it. Some I missed maybe I
I
knew,
missed
but
it
I never saw
too.
it.
Yeah.
But I saw a clip, and I recall. I don't remember what it was about, but I do remember it being fairly serious, like
Yes.
something about nuclear weapons and the whole thing, and
The
like
apes really have like more of a modern
in
city.
in indicting the U.S. for causing the war. I think was part
Yes.
of.
Yes, it
Yes, yeah,
was.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I do remember the live action TV show.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah.
Which I watched some
Which
of. I don't think I watched all of it, and I only sort of mostly remember because of the toys that came out because of it.
yeah, and I think I would probably have the same reaction as we had to a lot of the things we watched on the 70s
Yeah, yeah,
superhero
sure.
action TV show episode.
But it probably was still better than the Star Lost.
Yes. A high bar indeed. I also want to mention I've been buying paperbacks and I'm in this mode where I'm trying to figure out the best way to preserve them, both as they're sitting on the shelf and when I'm reading them. And
You
it's
build a
been
fort,
tough.
Tom. You build a fort out of the paperbacks because you're going to
I
buy so many of them.
That's right. I'm not that far away. So, like if listeners, either A, good bags to put thick paperbacks in. We're talking about mass market paperbacks, the kinds from spinner racks of days of yore, or B, a cover from when you're reading. Because I've got a cloth one. It's not great, and in
Mhm.
fact, it damaged a book that I had.
Yeah,
So I actually had to order another copy. I mean, the book itself was fragile; it was an old book, but
right.
just if I throw something into the backpack or whatever, I don't want the paperback to be damaged because they are a little fragile.
Sure, sure.
Yeah. Anyway,
Entropy comes for us all.
entropy. Well, thank you for that. Happy thought.
Well, we are ancient after all.
All right. So as my body falls apart, let's talk about soundtracks. If we could afford a soundtrack for this episode, what music would you choose?
So I decided to go with 99 Luftballons by Nena because it's about nuclear war.
Oh,
Plus,
okay.
plus it has a Captain Kirk reference, so it's got a geek reference.
Oh,
And
excellent.
then even better is the parody song that I heard on Dr. Demento back in the day by Tim Cavanaugh called 99 Dead Baboons, which perfectly fits this
All
movie.
right. Exactly. That's really on the nose.
Oh
So
yeah.
I was not so much on the nose. Well, yes, it was. I was looking for Planet of the Apes inspired music on Spotify, and I found a punk band, The Mummies, did a song, You Must Fight to Live on the Planet of the Apes.
As one.
And
Yeah, absolutely.
I also think like that song and this movie are about the same level of quality. So
Oh, there you go.
anyway, that was the rationale behind my pick. Okay.
Fair enough.
All right. So we know all our fans have been clamoring for Beneath the Planet of the Apes. So
Sure.
let's not
Who
waste any
wouldn't?
more time and get right into it. So how did you encounter this movie for the first time?
So, as I believe I described very early on, This movie, all five Planet of the Apes movies, were shown on a local TV in the Dallas market. And I believe one summer I watched them all one week every day. Maybe I was sick. It was something like that. I
Yeah.
remember laying on the couch watching these movies at noon, one after the other. And so I saw this one in that sequence on Channel 11, I'm pretty sure.
Did you achieve an altered state watching all the Planet of the Apes
Probably.
movies back to
Very,
back?
very, very likely I did, yes.
Did you start talking like Roddy McDowell?
Hopefully not, but you never know.
Yeah, I also saw it on TV. I'm sure. I'm sure I
Hmm.
didn't see it in the movie. The other ones that follow the remaining
Hmm.
three in the original franchise, I did see in the theater. But this one I undoubtedly saw on television with commercials, as one
Yes. Oh,
did
absolutely.
with commercials.
Absolutely.
And kind of at the time, do you remember your reaction to it?
I mean, I don't really remember a specific reaction beyond the fact that it was
Give me
just
an adjective, any
a,
adjective.
a boring sequel.
That's an adjective and a noun, but okay.
I know. Well, you always ask me these. You do this to me. You do one word. I do more than one word. You ask for a sentence. You get a paragraph. You should have got. This is the way it works.
This is the academic coming out.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I should say at times it was shocking when I saw it for the first
Mm,
time. It was also definitely schlocky. I definitely felt that it was kind of a schlocky movie. Cynical, I would say maybe part of my reaction.
I was at elementary school, so I probably didn't know what schlocky
Mhm.
was, and I certainly wouldn't have known what cynical meant. It was just a movie with a bunch of ape guys running around. There was a bomb, and I did find the mutants to be. I think shocking is a good word for them. They were gross.
Yeah. Well, we're going to probably do all the ape movies at some point here,
Oh yeah,
but we thought that this one was worth giving special attention because arguably this is one of the first geek franchise movies. When you had a series of movies, not just a single movie, that the commercial impulse of Hollywood drove them to create a sequel for something that probably originally the creators did not anticipate, or if they
sure.
did, they wanted to prevent a sequel from
So
being
here's where I ask
filmed.
another jerk academic question.
Okay, is it more of a comment than a question?
No, it's a question, but
Okay.
it contains the seeds of a theory. Um, did it was the franchise born with this movie, or was it the next movie that really is when the franchise is born?
Well, as we'll get to, this movie was in a way designed to prevent
Right,
any other sequels,
right.
which I think is a fool's errand.
Well, sure.
But yeah, maybe that once they figured out what to do after this movie to make Escape from the Planet of the Apes,
Or
sure, maybe
well,
that's a good
well,
point.
I
That's
mean,
a good
and
point.
I've actually to sort of pick out something from your notes that because you
Mhm.
kindly looked this data up, which I meant to,
Yeah.
and I was glad to see it was in your notes. So the movie cost 2.5 million and it made 19 million. I think that's when they decided it was was a
Oh yeah.
franchise.
Yes. Definitely.
Because you're right. I mean, and we'll talk about the ending, but spoiler: the Earth blows up, and theoretically there could be, and literally the Planet of the Apes is no more. So
Right.
theoretically,
Everything is dead.
you could not have a sequel to this movie.
Right.
And partially, I want to watch Escape because I remember how it starts, but I don't remember all the details. If even it
Mhm.
explains how in the world you continue the story.
Oh, they
But
do explain. They do explain
well, I don't explain
how
it, but
they.
I mean
Yeah.
how they got the rock. Again, spoilers for those that haven't seen Escape from the Planet of the Apes. Cornelius and Zira escape in a spaceship as the Earth is being blown
Yeah.
up.
Taylor's original spaceship.
Yeah, I just don't remember if they got the details of why they decided to take off at that particular moment in time, or how they managed to get the spaceship reconstructed. But
Cabin fever, just hanging around that tiny ape city.
that would do it.
Yeah, they
But
needed a vacation.
apparently,
Yeah.
anyhow, yeah, it's
Anyway,
but to your point, actually, it's worth pointing out, right, that this is the notion that any movie can be made in a way that entirely precludes a sequel from taking place is impossible.
right. It's always going to happen.
Um,
If there
anyway,
if there isn't a commercial impulse, people in Hollywood will figure out how to scratch that corporate
so I
itch.
mean, to answer my own question again in the academic way, is I think that there's the impulse to sequel, which was already present in
Mm,
filmmaking.
yeah.
I think the impulse to franchise comes after the second movie makes a ton of money. Pardon my French. And then then it becomes.
Explicit label. I've got to bleep
I
that
know.
now.
I know. It's terrible.
You couldn't have said poop ton.
Frack ton of money.
There we go.
Um, I do a pretty good job of keeping my potty mouth under control on this thing, but on occasion it
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah,
leaks out.
yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Well, it's because this is a movie that oddly inspires a lot of feelings. Like I said, it's
yeah.
schlocky, and there are a lot of schlocky '70s movies I saw. Like
Yes.
I would consider like Billy Jack to be a schlocky '70s movie. Did you ever see that one?
No, I remember the commercials, but I didn't. I never
Anyway,
saw it.
yes, and the unforgettable theme song. But anyway, but a lot of schlocky movies, like schlocky TV shows, just kind of roll off your back. They're
Right.
forgettable and so forth. But it's funny, like looking around the internet to see what people thought about this movie today. There were definite diehard fans, and there were also definite haters. But
Oh yeah.
I really didn't find a lot of reactions. People who said, "Meh, it was an hour and a
Fair.
half we killed."
Fair.
It was a
I
TV movie.
I was pleased it was an hour and a half. I was so excited when I saw it was only an hour and a half
Yeah.
because it drags bad enough as it is at an hour and a half.
Oh, yes, definitely.
And
Definitely.
this also raises another philosophical question that you posited a couple episodes ago in one of our Harlan Ellison episodes, which is if a short story sparks a lot of conversation, does that not make it a good short story? This movie is going to spark a lot of conversation, but does that make this a good movie? I don't know.
No. Spoilers, no.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So we'll talk a little bit about the making of the movie. So Planet of the Apes was a surprise commercial success. For the people who made it, the Richard Zanuck and company, it was a gamble. They had a vision. It involved very expensive prosthetics and a very much of a downer of a storyline and a lot of things that arguably could not have worked. But it was a big success. To some extent critically, but definitely in terms of box office receipts. The sequel was released 2 years after the original, which shows they were in a hurry to make a movie. While the crest of apes fever, I'm mixing metaphors terribly there. While ape fever was still strong in
Is that like a hantavirus?
no, it's more of a chimp virus. They got some initial ideas from Rod Serling, who of course wrote the first drafts of the screenplay for Planet of the Apes, and Pierre Boulle, the author of the novel. Serling said, "How about doing something with underground civilization and a leftover atomic bomb that didn't get detonated during the
Right.
Holocaust that created the Planet of the Apes ultimately?" Boulle's ideas were more interesting. I mean, he tried writing a script, and he wasn't somebody experienced at doing it.
Right.
But he put his nose to the grindstone, shoulder to the grindstone. Which body part do you put to the grindstone?
I'm thinking of Nose the Ape Stone. It's all confusing to me right now.
Okay, all right. In that movie, there would have been effectively kind of a race war between the humans and the apes. That the action would have centered around the son of Taylor, the astronaut in the first movie, and Nova. It would have been that Taylor had gone off to create a human colony,
Right.
and ultimately they get into a war with the apes. The humans take over the Earth again, and there would have been this poignant ending where the apes would be somehow devolving during the course of the plot, and you'd see Dr. Zaius in a cage at the end, kind of grunting and snorting and screeching like an orangutan. Boole claimed he had not seen the original movie, so he was kind of going off his own ideas. And just mention the name I forgot before of Taylor and Nova's son, which was Sirius,
Hmm.
because it was a serious piece
movie.
of science fiction.
Or was the Sirius Cybernetics Corporation or a Sirius XM?
Yeah.
Or the
So that
Dog Star.
yeah, so that didn't get made. But what got
Yep.
made was written by a screenwriter, Paul Dane, who was a guy who wrote uh, screenplays for he contributed to Goldfinger, Spy Who Came In From the Cold, a lot of kind of hot properties from the
Right.
1960s, and he was haunted by nuclear war to the point where he did this sort of Edward Gorey like storybook about a nuclear war. I haven't been able to find it, but I saw pages of it in a
Hmm.
documentary about the making of this movie. As you mentioned, the budget was slashed
Yes.
extremely because 20th Century Fox, the studio that made this movie, had three successive, very expensive flops. One of them I had never even heard of before, which is saying something. It was a Julie Andrews musical called Star! Exclamation point.
Oh,
Uh,
wow. No, I haven't heard of it either.
yeah, because it sank into oblivion or the
You
weight
must
of its
have,
own mediocrity, I guess. Also Tora Tora Tora,
which I have seen.
which I have seen, and Hello Dolly, which I have seen
Hmm.
half of it, I think, at some point. So you really see, I think, the budget cuts and the act,
Right.
the
Well,
makeup, the sets.
the best is when all of
Yeah.
a sudden, oh, look, there's a spaceship and they've crashed. And
Yes.
that screams cut budget like nobody's
Uh,
business.
yeah. They got somebody who was primarily a TV director to helm this movie, Ted Post, and it has sort of a TV movie vibe to it.
Yeah, it does. That's a good call. Yeah.
Yeah, much more than the original movie. Um, they really wanted to get Charlton Heston to be in the sequel,
Hmm.
and his condition was there could never be another Planet of the Apes movie. That it
Right.
had to be the ultimate Planet of the Apes movie in the sense of final. And originally, like he wanted to be in the movie, but then be killed at the at in the very first scenes. They negotiated something where he'd be at the beginning and the end of the movie. Um, Roddy McDowall was not available. He was off being a director on his own movie. They got somebody else in who was indistinguishable. I mean, whoever that person
Yeah,
was.
yeah. I
uh,
honestly, I knew before we watched it this time, but I honestly thought that Roddy McDowall played that part the whole time. So that guy does a passable job
yeah.
in impersonating him. Plus, he has such a small role; it's easy to overlook it.
Right. Yes. I mean, Cornelius and Zero are really on the sidelines. I mean, they're
Mm,
kind of fretting a lot about the
right.
war that's happening, but otherwise they don't play any important role in the plot.
I did notice that Zira had seemed more front front and center than Cornelius. She was
Yeah.
more important, such
Yeah.
as it was. But
In the course of the movie, that they tried different ideas. For example, they had a human ape hybrid
mhm.
that you can find pictures of online. They wasn't used in the movie. And as you said, kind of the important data point is that the reduced budget was $2.5 million and it made
Mhm.
$19 million.
Yes,
So
yes, yes.
yeah, so
And I'm looking at the list of plan. I was wondering when they all came out. They come out rapidly after this. It was like
yeah,
almost exactly 1 year later, each of these movies comes out.
yes.
So they race to make these movies after
And it
this
kind of
one.
felt that way from
Sure,
watching them,
sure, sure,
that
sure.
they were rushed. The movie poster I looked at really spoils one of the big surprises in the film about the mutants. I was kind of disappointed to see that as a person constitutionally unable to spoil anything, and condemns people who do.
So
Uh,
you can't even say what the spoilage was, even though it's
I
on the
know, isn't
poster
that
and the
even though we're going to
movies.
definitely spoil
Yeah,
everything
sure.
here? I know that's just me. There was a sanitized British version of it, which I don't know how it was even a movie. Like they cut out a lot of the violence,
Right.
and what would the movie be then? Especially the last part.
It's just the last scene with the
Yeah,
voiceover. That's
yeah,
the whole movie.
yeah. I guess they thought that the mutants when they revealed themselves were too shocking, and
Yeah, yeah,
anyway,
they're
very
gross,
weird,
but
very
yeah.
weird. There was a novelization. It suffered some of the problems of people trying to write a novel based on a screenplay that was changing as the movie
Right.
was being filmed.
Right.
Supposedly, it's not very good. I'm not going to add it to my collection
What?
of mass market paperbacks. So let's get a quick summary of the plot. Another astronaut travels to Earth.
Yes.
in the future, and again doesn't know that he's on Earth in the future. And as you said, the spaceship crashes,
Yes.
and it's just
Well,
there.
it's just there. We don't see the interior of the spaceship.
Nope.
There's only one other astronaut. He dies immediately.
Yeah.
Um, in fact, he doesn't even move. He just lays there and dies. Um, and
Yes.
then, and
You don't even see a
remarkably,
lot of the hull of the ship because a lot of it's been burnt,
that's man.
torn
That's
to
right. So all of a
pieces.
sudden, there it is. Oh, and we
It's
assume it crashed.
wreckage. Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, the other astronaut, Brent, weirdly looks exactly like some kind of odd clone of Charlton Heston.
Yeah, that was so weird that
It was very
they
weird.
deliberately cast
I
somebody
mean, yeah.
who looked
He's
like
physically
Charlton Heston.
smaller than Heston,
Yes.
but his overall look, the whole thing, he looks like if you Timu Charlton Heston, right?
Yes. Yes.
And one thing I will say though,
Which
the
you
hair
could say
product.
that is a description of James Franciscus.
Yes, it
I'm
is.
sorry. He's not
It's
a good
true.
actor,
No.
but boy did he
The
give his all in this movie.
the hair products that NASA used were phenomenal because his
I know.
hair stays perfect the entire movie. It's amazing.
Yeah. You know, he can be shot, he can be running through thorn bushes. It stays perfectly
It's
immobile.
amazing. Yeah.
Right. So effectively, the first part of this movie is a recap or
Yes.
a rehash of Planet of the Apes. It's the same
Hmm.
story of astronaut finds the humans who can't speak. In this case, it's just Nova.
Yes. That's right.
Realizes that by that he's followed Taylor to somewhere. He doesn't realize yet it's Earth, and goes to Ape City.
Yes.
And then there's
I know.
Cornelius and Zira. I mean, it's
Yes. No, the first, I mean, worse in some way, the very first 5 minutes ish are there's some reused footage from the first movie.
Mhm.
And then
Yes.
Taylor and Nova riding around in the Forbidden Zone with really terrible special effects.
Hmm.
This is that creates a mystery. And
Right.
then everything you just described. And yeah, and then it really is it's repeating beats from the first movie.
Right.
Um,
Yeah,
the
and
gorillas
people
are
running.
awful, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Yeah, running
Yeah.
around and
Running around, chased by the apes, but it's ultimately meaningless because you know where the movie's going.
right.
So there's no tension there. When James Franciscus is, or Brent, his character's name is
Brent.
Brent, is
Brent.
pursued by the apes. We do see that the gorillas. I mean the guy who's the warmongerer who is the head of the military, played by James Gregory. If anybody knows him,
His voice is perfect for that role.
oh, it is. Yes, he has the great helmet,
Yeah, yeah.
the big ape general
It's huge.
helmet. It's huge, and there's a scene where like he's orating.
Yes.
He's giving a speech and he's standing weirdly. And
Yeah.
I kind of felt like maybe he was like having a hard time balancing the big helmet on his head and he didn't
Yeah.
want to
It's
move
kind of like the
too
leader.
suddenly. Yes, exactly. That's great. That's exactly like the leader. All right. So the apes are getting sort of progressively clued in that there's something in the Forbidden Zone, that
Yes.
they've been sending scouts out. They never return, or they return and they're insane. And anyway, they realize some intelligence is out there. And so, of course, their, sort of single-minded response to any sort of threat is to eradicate it. So they
Yes.
gear up the big war effort and they
For the
march
gorillas, at
off
least.
for
Yes.
the guerrillas. Meanwhile, Brent and Nova escape from the apes. They themselves go off to the Forbidden Zone to find Taylor. They find the mutants living underground in
Right.
the wreckage of
Of the New York
New
City
York.
subways.
Yes, New
Yeah.
York City subway. So lots of New
Well,
York,
yeah.
sort of landmarks get thrown
Yes.
in this underground city. The mutants are all telepaths.
Hmm.
They also are just they're wearing latex masks, really good ones, so that
Yeah.
you
Oh,
don't
yeah.
suspect
Sure.
until they take the masks off there's anything underneath
That's where
them. But
all the technological advancement went with some making incredibly lifelike masks.
exactly, well, it's probably where a lot of the budget went for this
Well,
movie. Yeah,
yes.
and once they take them off, they have this sort of Grey's Anatomy look to them under the
Hmm.
skin
Yeah.
underneath, where it's like red
You see
arteries
veins and
and
yeah.
blue veins and so forth. Anyway, I remember as a kid saying, "Whoa, man."
Yeah, I was as a kid. Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh,
Yeah. And there's a nice teaser, like they're in when they first encounter one of the mutants, Brent and Nova are seeing him from the back and he's like praying to his god.
hmm.
And you don't see that he's taken his mask off and he says, "I reveal myself to my god." And then later,
Yeah,
you see what actually is going on with that. And they all worship an atomic bomb,
sure, as one does.
as one does. And so they find Taylor eventually, who's been held captive by the mutants. The mutants get them to fight.
Yeah,
Kind of telepathically controls them so that they fight each other, and eventually they break out
for reasons.
for reasons. Yeah, we'll talk about the morality
Yeah,
of this
well, yeah,
later. Yeah, yeah.
or just the logic of it. Yeah.
Meanwhile, the apes finally arrive. The mutants are able to create illusions.
Hmm.
That's
Illusions.
that's really their biggest superpower.
Yeah.
They're pacifists. They don't have weapons, but they'll create walls of fire and crevices opening up in the earth and so forth to convince people not to come into the forbidden zone. But Dr. Zaius, who's traveling with the ape army, figures out that this is a fake, rides into the wall of flames, and
Safe.
yes, and then because he made his saving roll against illusion,
Apparently.
and and then then everybody else says, "Oh, okay, nothing bad's going to happen to us if we ride through this wall of flame." Though behind the wall of flame is the statue of the lawgiver bleeding from his eyes, which I
Yes.
thought was pretty effective. That was
That was one of the
that was
better visuals. I agree.
spooky. Okay, so then the apes arrive. The mutants put up feeble resistance. There's a lot of shooting.
Yes.
The apes tip the bomb over and fire off its launching mechanism. So there's lots of steam blowing all over the place. In the shootout, both Brent and Taylor are mortally wounded.
Hmm.
And at the very end, and we'll get it to the discussion of the morality of this as well.
Yes.
At the very end, Taylor says, "You bloody bastard," and detonates the bomb, killing the entire world.
And the movie just ends
And the movie
with a
just ends
voiceover.
with the voiceover, which I looked it up. It was Paul Frees who did
Yeah, yeah.
the voiceover. He did a lot of voiceovers for commercials and cartoons and so forth. It's a very familiar sounding voice.
It's just.
Yes, it was like, and the voiceover is very Serling-esque, I have to
Yeah,
say.
it is. It is.
On an insignificant blue
No,
planet.
in one, I've got it right here. In one of the countless billions of galaxies in the universe lies a medium-sized star, and one of its satellites, a green and insignificant planet, is now dead, and the screen is now blank, and that's the end of the movie.
Yes,
We didn't get to see the explosion.
I know.
It's not
Yeah.
even just, yep, a noise. You get a noise and a blank screen
Yes,
and a voiceover. Voiceover.
and the voiceover does really feel tacked on.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
this is. It's kind of like a version of the fact that they ran out of money on Monty Python and the Holy Grail, so they all got
yeah,
arrested at the end,
yeah.
and the movie just kind of stops. And this
Yes,
one, the movie just like goes to black. We're done. We got nothing
right.
else to do here, guys.
Yeah.
It's over.
Though the scene that I didn't mention, which I think is also where a lot of the money for this movie was spent, was the mass. The
Yeah,
mutants
the mass.
have a mass, and there is a decent sized set that they've
Yeah,
created for
yeah, that's right.
yeah, and
And they all had
so all the
the
mutants
gross makeup.
they all had the gross makeup. They all had they all had kind of white outfits that they were wearing,
Yes,
including they put Brent and Nova
that's
in these outfits.
that's the other technology they developed over. They have the latex masks and really
Yes,
great bleach because boy, those
yes,
robes look fantastically pristine. But in general, this planet's awfully clean considering
yeah,
everything's going on. I mean, how does Nova stay so clean? That's what I want to know.
because she's married to the producer. I don't know.
It helps.
Before we get into our specific comments on this movie, our deep dive analysis, what grade would you give it overall?
I'll give it a D plus.
Yeah, I was pretty close. I gave it a C minus.
I could make the argument, but I realized what's the only reason to watch this movie is if you plan to watch the other movies for whatever reason, good or good or for ill. I just it's too much of a rehash. It really doesn't make total sense. And
Yeah.
in fact, I think it wastes a major opportunity. You could have made an interesting movie about this
Oh,
place.
we'll talk about what movie
Yeah,
would
yeah.
you make in place of this as a sequel to Planet of the Apes. Okay, so getting into the specifics, how did you feel about the writing in this
I thought it was.
movie?
I mean, I gave grades, but I gave it a D. But I don't think the writing's very good. I think it's again it's repetitive, and the
Yeah.
dialogue is not very interesting, and characters don't always make good choices that make sense given context. Like for example, I know we'll talk about it, but why does Brent lie at first about what's going on to the mutants? What's the point? It doesn't make
No.
makes no sense.
No.
Or why
Yeah.
the mutants act the way they act, for that matter. Nobody really. I mean, I suppose you could say that the General Ursus made some semblance of sense, but I'm not even sure that Zaius makes sense. The whole thing is just, I don't know.
Yeah, well, it feels forced to get
Yes,
to the apocalyptic ending.
yes,
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah. So it
So
was
I
unimaginative in setting up the movie.
hmm
And then, the middle part has some interesting elements, kind of learning about the mutant civilization.
hmm
But, the ending is again forced the
Oh,
way that
quite.
the movie
Well, I mean,
wraps up.
since the only interesting part of the movie, arguably, is in rough outline the mutant part, and that's something that Rod Serling suggested. And then it just felt like this was made out of spare parts, this script.
Yeah. How about the direction?
Also, I just pedestrian. Like you say, it's like a TV movie. I didn't
Yeah.
find it. I can't
Yeah.
think of anything especially striking visually in this movie,
No, which is
unlike the
definitely
first
not
one.
the case. Yes, not the case with Planet of the Apes. There's no memorable visual
Hmm
anywhere in this
No,
movie, and the camera work itself is kind of pedestrian. It's just
yeah,
there,
yeah.
there. Production design.
I thought some of the sets, especially in the city, were at least decent.
Hmm
That was the one of the better parts of the movie to a degree, but
hmm
in a limited fashion, really. I mean, it was because a
Yeah.
lot of it doesn't make some of the ways that he encounters the cityscape doesn't make total sense, really. But I'm willing to sort of go with it. But
Yeah, I mean they
that
were
was okay, and
working.
the mutant stuff and the like you said, the cathedral were at least they were at least decent.
Yeah.
So that was one of the better parts of the movie, actually.
Yeah, I mean, one of the striking parts about the first movie, it's production design. It has,
Oh yeah,
a very specific look. It's really interesting for Ape City and
yes,
the ape costumes and so forth. Not to mention the ape makeup. But here they didn't really add anything.
right.
I mean, it seemed unimaginative. I know that they were
I
working under a
agree. I
constrained
agree.
budget, but it still seemed very unimaginative.
Agreed.
And the ruins of New York looked like the sort of thing anybody would have
That's right.
invented,
That's totally fair. Yeah.
without too much thought. How about the makeup?
Naked was on the mutants was good, and then and what they replicated on the apes from the first movie was fine. Although I think that the mass ape scenes were not as good as the ones from the first film.
No, so just to let people know, in the original movie, they had prosthetics that stuck to a person's
Hmm
face, and when they talked, they put a lot of work into this. So when they
Yes.
talked or they moved their eyebrows or did anything facially, that you just raised your eyebrow, which our listeners can't
hmm
see, but it would be reflected in the ape face
Right.
that they stuck on to the actor, and occasionally you would see this sort of hollow-eyed looking apes in the
hmm
background because to economize a little bit on the already explosive makeup budget, they had these
Right.
pullover masks for some
hmm
people if they were in the background. There were a lot of apes with these masks on,
Yes.
and it
A
was
lot.
very visible throughout.
Yeah. It was. It
Yeah,
was.
and uh, it's really jarring when you see it.
I
So
agree. I agree.
you'll see Ursus, the ape general, talking to Dr. Zaius, and then there's a guy sitting next to them or walking behind them and so forth in one of these masks. It looks so dissonant.
I mean, probably, I don't know for sure, but my impression would be that Cornelius, Zira, Ursus, and Zaius are the only ones with a decent makeup in the movie, and the rest of them were just sort of
Yeah,
whatever they got.
yeah.
But
All right. How about acting? So James Franciscus.
it was not good. The action's not good in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Though he did put himself into his role, but
Oh, he
he's
tried.
not
He tried.
he's not a good actor. He was really I remember him mostly from TV shows. I think I remember him playing a blind detective. This is like the 70s cop show era, so they had
Hmm.
to come up with a spin
Sure,
on,
sure, sure,
the
sure.
cops. Oh, here's somebody in a wheelchair. Here's somebody who's a cowboy. Uh, here's a husband and wife,
Right, 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 right.
Anyway, but not a great actor. They had, I guess, approached Burt Reynolds to play this role.
Mm.
I don't know if necessarily anybody would do a better job somehow because there wasn't much to do with the
Well,
role.
he was going to be in Zardoz too, right? So he's like
Yes,
dodging bullets left and right.
that's an
Um,
interesting alternate universe of 70s cinema with
that's right.
Burt Reynolds popping up in those roles.
Well, if we can't
Uh,
get Burt Reynolds, here's an idea, fellas. Let's get someone who looks exactly like Charlton Heston.
yeah,
There's an idea.
still so weird that they
Yes.
did that.
Yes.
Linda Harrison played Nova.
Well, she was, I mean, that part is thankless, and especially in this
Yes.
movie, she's just there to look confused.
Look wide-eyed and
Yes.
concerned.
Yes. Exactly.
Maurice Evans. I didn't think Maurice Evans played Dr. Zaius. Again, not much given to him, unlike the first movie where he is a fascinating character.
No, he's great in the first movie. I mean, again, I think both he and you haven't said her name yet, Zira, it's Kim Hunter.
Yeah.
They both, you can see echoes of their character from the first film in this
Hmm.
movie, which, given what they're playing around, makes them elevated relative to their
Yes.
co-stars. But
Yes.
but overall, not. Same with uh, James Gregory. I mean, I think he
Yeah.
he stands out relative, but only because it's so otherwise a sea of bland.
Yeah. And you're right. He's a very good voice actor. So,
Yeah.
if you don't see his face other than with, the ape prosthetics, he still does the job well. He is
Yeah.
the first of our Barney Miller tie-in actors, by the way. So
Oh,
he
there we
he was
go.
a semi-regular on Barney Miller.
That's
Can you
right. That's
guess who
right.
the other one was?
I saw it actually, but I looked for him in the movie and I couldn't find him.
So it's the first mutant that
Oh,
whom
is he one of the
Brent
mutants?
and Nova meet.
Okay.
It's Gregory Sierra who
Yeah,
is
yeah,
on
yeah. He was
Barney
also,
Miller.
and actually, the mutants have a couple of interesting people beyond that.
Oh
Are you going
yeah.
to mention them?
Oh, well, mention away.
Well, of course, we have Victor Buono who plays
Yes.
who's he's credited as Fat Man. It's like great. You just gotta love that. But he was King Tut in the Batman series,
Yes.
and
One of
then
one of my more favorite Batman
villain.
villains.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Just
I
a
was
lunatic who thinks he's King Tut and then
yes,
can attract people to his gang to dress up in Egyptian
that's
costumes.
right.
That was fun.
That
That was
was
fun.
fun.
Yeah.
And then Jeff Corey, who
Hmm.
was like the lead mutant, he
Yeah.
was Justin in Babylon 5, among other
Yes.
things. But that's what I remembered him from.
Yeah, and he was a blacklisted actor who spent years doing teaching other actors,
Okay.
and he's a good actor. Like if you
Yeah.
see him before or after the blacklisting,
Hmm.
he's one of those presences on film who's always pleasant, and he always,
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, uh, fun to have him in a movie. Okay, so we talked about James Gregory, Charlton Heston, and
Yeah.
you can see from my next
Yeah.
question what I think of Charlton Heston's acting.
Yeah. You want to ask the question?
Was Charlton Heston ever a good actor?
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's a
Because
really
he was
great question.
always so gonzo, always
Yeah,
over
yeah.
emoting about everything. Damn you, damn you.
I'm trying to. Yeah, it's. I agreed. Agreed. And he's one of those actors that always kind of felt like he was playing himself to a degree. Um,
Yeah, have you ever seen the Omega Man?
no.
Again, he really. I mean, there's not one shred of scenery unchewed in that movie either. He's really not a pleasant presence for me on film. I think when he in other movies where he's a little bit more underplayed, like he was in a movie like The Warlord was a medieval movie I remember watching when I was a kid. I thought he was better in that, a little bit more restrained. But here, there are no breaks.
Well,
He's
I was
going
thinking
90 miles an hour down the overacting highway.
I realize I really haven't seen a big chunk of his work. He's just one of those actors was I was aware of in the 70s. He seemed ubiquitous.
Yeah.
He was a version of Clint Eastwood, although Clint Eastwood's much more talented. But it
Yeah.
was just I don't know. He would like pop up here and there. I mean, I remember I've never seen the entirety of Soylent Green. I've seen like huge chunks of Soylent Green,
Yeah.
but it's the same kind of deal.
Well, he's
Um,
actually in one of my favorite films noir,
okay.
A Touch of Evil, and in that he was good. So to answer my question, was he ever a good actor? At least in that movie, he was good, though he had his moments when the needle went into the red a little bit.
So back in 1958, he was a good actor.
He was. All right. I don't know if we need to go through everybody else here.
No, I think we've got
Yeah,
the.
Natalie Trendy's worth mentioning, one of the mutants, because she did play an ape in one movie, a human in another movie, and a mutant in a third movie in the Planet of the Apes
It's
series.
the POTA trifecta.
Yeah. She's the Jeffrey Combs of the Planet of the Apes franchise.
There you go. There you go.
Okay. And last of all, how about the soundtrack? How would you rate
It
the
was
soundtrack?
barely noticeable, and when it was annoying. How about that?
It was hard to remember any particular
Yeah.
riff of music from this.
No, I remember noticing it a couple times and thinking, and then beyond that, I couldn't.
Yeah.
In fact, if I think Planet of the Apes music, I think of the first movie and those the bongos and whatever the
Or the whoo
that
noise.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It very, again, TV movie like.
Yes, that's a very good description. Agreed.
Okay, so what would you say were the best parts?
Well, since best is a relative term,
Yes.
the better parts of the film or the best parts of the film are the mutant parts.
Yeah.
Although I don't know how good they are. How
Right.
about yourself?
Oh yeah, I put down everything here practically
Right.
is, that was good about this movie involved the mutants.
I agree.
That was interesting that they tried to create a different society,
Yes.
and whose rules you didn't quite understand. And I thought that the mass was a good scene.
Agreed.
The unmasking was really
hmm
good. The illusions were clever sometimes.
I agree with you about the bleeding lawgiver because
Yeah.
it had a certain, at least it tapped into uh, previous plot points about their religion slash science and Dr. Zaius' role in it, but they looked lame. So it was hard for
Yes.
me to get to, especially the fire, which just looked
Yes.
like a TV special effect.
Yeah. Yeah. Something superimposed on the film.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but it was creepy when in the early part of the movie we see Taylor and Nova riding out into the
hmm
Forbidden Zone, and like there was a mountain there a minute ago.
That's right.
Yeah, it was
Okay,
unsettling.
that's fair. It was
Yeah.
something.
So were the mutants effective as foils? I mean, they were interesting.
They were
I don't.
interesting,
They
but I
weren't
don't.
really antagonists. They
No,
weren't allies.
no.
They were just, kind of the centerpiece of the movie on which sort of like the apes trampled at some point.
Well,
But
I mean,
anyway, it was kind of funny. Like when I watched the movie, like what did they actually do other than die?
right.
Yeah,
They felt like what I wrote down. I'm not quite sure if this is a good way of saying it, but they just kind of felt like the kinds of things you sometimes run across in a comic book.
yeah,
They're kind of an interesting side quest or plot point for the heroes to deal with, but you
right.
really never fully understand why they're there, or because if you think about it too much, a lot of it doesn't make any sense,
No,
even
and I
in,
have
even in
so
context.
many questions about
Yeah, so many
things that did
questions.
make sense.
And really, to your point about them, so theoretically, they're the motivating factor of the ape's behavior, but they really don't fully understand why. And why then all
Hmm.
of a sudden they were going to charge into the Forbidden Zone. Because again, this movie picks up right after the first movie, and they were not talking about this in the other film, but all of a sudden,
No,
this is like a central motivating factor of ape society. And you're right. I mean, yeah, they have these mental powers, but which apparently up until now have been more than formidable, but all of a sudden they're worthless, and it just I don't know. It doesn't, the way they deal with Brent and Taylor, I didn't understand.
Mm.
So the whole thing was just I didn't really work ultimately, but it was more
No.
interesting the first part of the movie. So there's that.
Well, and I would say, the among the worst parts of the movie, the ending,
Yeah.
where you talk about, things not working. So I had a question here. Was Taylor the biggest a-hole in the history of geek cinema? So basically, at the end of the movie, he decides
Yeah.
he doesn't like the fact that the apes have taken over the
Right.
earth,
Right.
and therefore he just destroys everything. He kills every living thing on the planet.
Yeah. Yeah. It's well.
And in the
Um,
first movie, Taylor was already an a-hole.
no, it was terrible.
Yeah,
He was a
I mean, you
nihilistic
saw
a-hole.
a
Yeah.
nihilistic person. He's
Yes.
nasty to his fellow astronauts.
Yes.
He's just a jerk, and here he's the ultimate jerk.
Yes. Well, well, I realize because I'm sure you didn't invent this, but you use the abbreviation POTA.
Yes.
Um, so maybe it's not Planet of the Apes, it's Planet of the A-hole.
There we go.
But yeah, Taylor is totally, he's not, for someone who's ostensibly the hero of both movies, he's not
Right.
much of a hero.
No. And so, like
And
at the very
yeah.
end, he and Zaius are having this final confrontation, and
Hmm.
Zaius says something which is very speechifying. It's like,
Yes.
"Man is evil, capable of nothing but destruction," and then
Yes.
Taylor says,
Taylor proves it.
"You bloody bastard," and then detonates the bomb.
Yeah. It's the bomb, kills everybody.
Right? It's
Yeah,
a
I
it's a
don't.
hell of an exchange between.
Yeah, yeah, it is. And then the screen
And I
goes
remember at
black.
the
Yeah,
time when I saw it, as a kid, like, what did I just see?
yeah. It is. It's
Maybe the
confusing.
humans are worse.
Right. That's right.
At least the apes didn't
Well, I
destroy
mean,
everything.
to your point, actually, right? I mean, the humans are responsible for the original nuclear holocaust that leads to all this in the first place. And then at the end, the last surviving human from our era finishes the job basically
Yes.
using a weapon designed in our
Yeah.
era. And to your point, why would a doomsday weapon that powerful have to be a rocket?
Yes. Where would you be launching it to if it could detonate anywhere and
Right.
kill
I just,
everyone?
yes.
Why would you put it on a rocket?
It just looks cool. Why is it gold?
Uh, why not? So you're asking the question in 2026,
I know. I know.
ill-advised government projects,
With
why are they gold?
where they go? Well, maybe we have an answer. Maybe we have an answer.
Okay, okay. Yeah, and I've never understood the notion of a doomsday weapon to begin with.
Mm-mm.
I mean, it's at the end of Doctor Strangelove. It's in other, it's at the Doomsday Machine and
Yeah.
Star Trek, the original series.
Well, I think it's just an easy shorthand for mutually assured destruction, right? I mean,
Right,
theoretically, we have doomsday weapon now. It's just weapons plural.
right.
I think it's just being simplistic. But yeah, your point is well taken. One
Yeah,
singular weapon that can blow everything up is kind of dangerous.
yeah. All right. So we're already getting into the uh, list of things that did not make sense. So when you're watching a movie and it's not good, your brain starts spinning on details as it's trying to occupy with something other than what you're
Right.
watching
Right.
because it's bad. Um, what made sense, if anything, to you about the morality of the mutants? Because they would happily use their mutant powers to get humans or apes to kill each other.
Right.
And then they would say, we're not responsible for this.
That's right. That was all
You're
dumb.
killing each other.
Well, I mean, I could take it as some sort of, I think maybe ham-fisted attempt at the idea that leaders can order other people into conflict, but then they're not really responsible because the people engaged in the conflict are doing it. I don't know.
Right.
Mostly it just felt like a way to, it all felt like a way for the mutants and the humans, being Brent and Taylor and to some degree Nova, instead of trying to find a way for them to have to communicate with one another, we're just going to create a wall. So
Yes.
we're just going to create a false conflict. I mean, they could have done other ways to say that we don't want to deal with humans, but it's almost like they didn't even know humans existed. You know what I
Right.
mean? The
Yes.
non-talking kind. They knew about the apes. I don't know. Their whole society doesn't really jive with me. It doesn't make sense. I mean, how are they surviving? All they seem to have are these religious ceremonies, but that's not enough to live off of. You can't eat
Yeah.
a religious ceremony. And again, I make fun of it, but I'm serious. They
Hmm.
seem to have certain levels of technology. They're
Yes.
clean and we have fiber, the clothing and all this stuff. So they must have something more than what we're seeing.
Right.
And they have these weird powers, but somehow, I mean, I don't know. And I
Yeah.
don't understand there's the whole interrogation scene that I've already referenced where they're like all using their mental powers to ask him questions. He's lying for reasons that don't make any sense. I mean, what are
No.
you lying
Why?
at this point?
Yeah. Why?
And then what do they really want? It's not clear.
Hmm.
And why not say the apes are coming to attack you? We need to do something to stop them instead of like
Right.
lying about it. It made no sense whatsoever, except to create false dramatic tension, which is one of my least favorite things to do in any
Yeah.
narrative.
Yeah. All right. My next question, does anyone on future Earth have basic agriculture?
I don't know,
Like,
man.
how do people or apes live? I mean, you never see it in the ape civilization.
Right?
And what are the mutants eating
I
in
don't know.
their underground shelter? I don't get it. This
I
is
mean,
again like your mind races to these things when
well, there was
you're
some
bored
gleaning.
or
I felt there was some gleaning in the first movie, but not
yes.
actually
Oh,
agriculture.
that's right. That's right. You're absolutely right. That was what the apes were upset about was that humans
Yes.
were poaching on
Yeah.
the fruit trees.
Yes. But
Ah, that's
like
right.
large scale, I don't know. The technology really is confusing
Yeah, you never see factories or to make
because
the guns or
they have guns, right? They have guns and
yeah.
gunpowder, so they should be a little further along in some ways than ways that just don't make
Right.
sense.
So next question. Why do the apes have a military?
Yeah, I don't. I mean, are there other ape
Whom are
cities?
they planning on fighting?
Yeah, that's a great question because this movie, in some ways more than the other one, kind of makes it feel like there's only one ape city,
Yeah,
which doesn't make
exactly.
sense.
Exactly.
Um, why would it be in New York?
I don't know, but a third of their population is in the military.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, they do the cast thing. And
Yeah.
it's even more in this movie. It's really only halvesies, isn't it? Because I don't think
Yes.
we see the chimpanzees and we see the apes. No, I'm only one orangutan.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, I don't know. It doesn't. It's it seemed more like in the first movie they were at least partially there to round up the humans for labor. But again, they don't use the human. I don't. They don't really use it for labor though,
No,
do they?
they were in the
It's
first
all.
movie. They were just trying to either use them for experimentation or
Yeah, that's right.
just get them out of
Give
the
them. Yeah, that's
fields,
right.
get them out
That's
of the
right.
orchards.
They were like
Um,
pests. They're like pest
yeah,
control.
exactly. Yeah, pest control. Are there female gorillas?
Somewhere. They're all trad wives. They're all home.
I don't.
I don't know.
How did the same accident happen to the astronauts twice? Were they arrived at exactly the same moment in Earth history in exactly the same spot? Or is future Earth just an incredibly tiny place that if you're going to crash on
That's
Earth,
where you
it's
crash.
going to be
Well,
right next to Ape
it
City?
just occurred to me. There's also a illogical time distortion
Right.
because I'm not sure how long had Taylor been on Earth during the first movie. Not that long, right?
No, no. Yeah,
So,
they just had ridden away from the Statue of Liberty. They got to the Forbidden Zone.
but
They
I'm just,
encountered the weirdness there.
but before the Statue of Liberty, how long? I mean, he was there long enough to heal, but it was only weeks
Oh, right,
tops.
right, right.
So why would they have launched a rescue mission already on past Earth? Not enough time has
That didn't
passed.
make any sense. No.
Now, arguably, the next movie makes the case, right, that there is this fixed doorway in time that goes both ways.
Hmm.
But it doesn't. It's crazy. Yeah, why would they
Yeah.
crash things? I don't know. It doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense.
If the Forbidden Zone is as close to Ape City as it
Hmm.
seems to be, this is to the
Yes,
tiny Earth question. Why haven't the apes encountered the mutants before?
that's a fantastic question.
I
No, I
just,
mean, the argument is pretty much made
yes,
geographically that this entire movie takes place somewhere on Manhattan Island, except it's no
right,
longer an island.
yeah, and
Both
in
movies,
the
actually.
and the apes march. in a day to find
Hmm.
find
Yeah.
the mutants.
They have
You know,
cannons now too.
and then the ape civilization has curiosity enough to, in the first movie, do an architectural dig some distance from
Yes.
their
Yes.
settlement. So uh, why does everyone speak English?
Well, yeah, that's just a trope, but yes, I agree.
Yeah,
It's I think the part that gets me the most about it, but it's just typical for these kinds of movies, is that why does Brent think that Nova's going to speak English?
right.
And well, why is no one surprised? This should have been the first hint for Taylor back in the day that something was up. But
Yeah.
yeah.
How does the chronometer work? So if you're on a spaceship that's accelerating
Hmm.
and you're approaching the speed of light, time slows.
Hmm.
The chronometer on your ship will slow along with it.
Sure.
So if 1,000 years have passed on planet Earth in 5 minutes when you're on the spaceship,
Right.
you're not going to see that on the clock on the spaceship. So how
I,
does anybody know that it's
well,
hundreds of years into the future or thousands
I,
of
ha
years in the
I
future?
have one possible answer and then one that but doesn't fully answer. I mean, I guess you theoretically, and I'm no physicist, you could create a clock that would take into account the time distortion if you were in fact traveling near one C, but that's not what they did. So I don't
Yeah.
know how they're. I don't. I have no earthly idea. Or but beyond how does it work? Why would they have designed a chronometer that could in fact tell you what year it was no matter where you were? How would they even know they were going to be? It's one thing to design a chronometer to deal with time distortion as you fly toward the speed of light. Okay, fine.
Right. Right.
But yet another just to have one that happens to tell you wherever you are, whenever you are, what
Hmm.
year it is makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah. Don't get it. Do you have any other questions about aspects of this movie that don't make sense?
No, no, I think we can talk about what we could have done different instead.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get to our final thoughts. So first, is this the first case of geek sequelitis? And by that I mean the disappointing sequel to a
Ah,
fantasy,
okay.
science fiction, or horror movie.
I, is it possible that some of the monster films from the 50s and 60s fit in that category?
Possibly. Or
That was
some
the
of the
closest
like
I
the
could come up
lesser
with.
Godzilla
Yeah,
movies.
that's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Son of Godzilla and all that stuff.
Yeah. But I think American made geek
Yeah.
movies possibly this.
The closest, I mean, I was thinking about franchises.
Yeah.
The only other franchise that I could figure out at the time was the James Bond franchise.
Hmm. Yeah.
Maybe the Pink Panther franchise, but the James Bond was a little closer to that's as close, but it's not really, it's geek adjacent, I guess, but not
And
necessarily.
undoubtedly we're overlooking something obvious that people listening to this are saying, but what about? But I remember feeling that at the time about this
Yeah.
being a sequel that didn't need to exist.
That's the other, that's one of the tenets of your religion, though. No
It is when
spoilers
I,
and
yeah,
sequels shouldn't exist,
yes,
except in rare occasions.
right. In other words, if a sequel is a bomb, I don't worship
That's
it.
right. Oh dear. And with that, the podcast came to an end. Um,
On an insignificant blue dot.
exactly.
What would have made a better sequel?
I think a better sequel would have been one in which there was an actual exploration of this future Earth.
Yeah,
And maybe there were other results of maybe the mutants or some other group could be encountered, or maybe they could find other humans that spoke that did survive and evolved
right,
differently. I don't know, talking birds, something, but
right.
something something better than what we got. Or I don't know that I wanted to see exactly the whole idea of the apes devolving and Zaius being in a cage, but I do think it could have been more interesting to see more about this world and beyond Manhattan
Right.
and the environs of their
Yeah, and I think that actually then Pierre Boulle was onto something. If you had
yeah, he was.
had, a an exodus of Taylor and humans that did
Hmm.
encounter all this kind of additional weirdness on future Earth, that could have been a good series of movies.
Yeah,
But
I think so.
yet this kind of suffered from multiple problems at the same time. First of all, why would you want a sequel other
Right.
than money? Second of all, the unimaginative replay of the first movie
Hmm.
and the first
Oh,
third of this movie, and then the intent to try to end things cataclysmically at the
right.
end. You know, I it just seemed to be there were forces working to undermine this being a good sequel from the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that the area in which my religion differs from yours sometimes is that I am more interested in wondering what else there might be to learn about a place,
Oh
a
yeah.
fictional place.
Oh, absolutely.
And
I agree with that. I
so,
think that like there was like one of those like magazine-sized comics that Marvel did.
mhm.
It was black and white that was based on Planet of the Apes, and I don't remember really anything about it other than I kind of thought that they were imaginative in how to extend the
Mhm.
storyline, exploring the world of the
Right.
Planet of the Apes.
Because again, presumably there's a
Uh,
whole lot else out there to find out, right? And
yeah.
or maybe even a series of movies in which, because if the core moral or the core allegory this movie is trying to tell is about the horrors of war,
Hmm.
maybe rather than the humans being able to conquer the apes, maybe they learn to live together by the end of the series,
Right.
and then we learn something about the mistakes of the past after
Right.
going through probably another war before figuring it out. That could be more
Yeah.
interesting than anything we got.
Yeah, and that speaks to just how much of a late 60s, early 70s movie this is. I
Oh yeah,
mean, the deep, deep cynicism of the
yes.
time about the world, about human nature,
Hmm.
plays out in the Planet of the Apes movies. That we are a doomed race.
Yes.
That you lean heavily into the conflict,
Yeah.
between to the point of making it seem inevitable. It's not the case of the last movie, and that's one reason why I'm kind of interested in watching the last movie again because there is a lot of cooperation going on between apes and humans, as I
Yeah,
remember
that's
in the
true.
last movie.
That's true. It's been a long time. I will say this, that to amplify a point you said and to make another point. I was listening to another podcast. I know there are other podcasts out there, believe it or not, but it was talking about contemporary politics. And it was about one of the hosts was saying something along the lines of basically the zeitgeist and sort of negativity and sort of pessimism that we know, why don't we have more uplifting fiction like Star Trek? And I'm like, my reaction was, well, Star Trek was uplifting and progressive looking, but it
Hmm.
was in a sea of things like this. I mean,
Right.
we grew up with a lot of SF that pretty much stated the end state is nuclear holocaust.
Yes.
So don't fool yourself. The apocalypse is coming, and that's what it's going to look like. And we're all going to be living in, the thing which is A Boy and His Dog, Planet of the Apes, Soylent Green. You can go down the list, right?
Right. Well, the
Zardoz.
day the Earth stood still. I mean, there
Yeah,
wasn't a nuclear holocaust in it, but the reason the aliens were visiting
yeah,
was because they were concerned that humans got the bomb
right.
and therefore could be a threat to others living in the galaxy,
Yeah,
and wanted to make sure that if humanity stepped out of line, there would be consequences.
right, right. So I mean, it's just where the star lost. It's all we were all doomed and going to be doomed. And if even if you survived,
Right.
it was going to be awful.
Right.
Damnation Alley. We can keep going, right? Just over
Yeah.
and over and over again. So yeah, that's your point is well taken in that regard.
So I think we probably agree that more world building
Oh
beyond what
yeah,
we got in these movies was
absolutely.
possible, and it was
Yes.
disappointing that the next three movies didn't add much either. Yeah, we'll get into a prequel of what ultimately evolved into Planet of the Apes, going back to the 1970s and the UC Irvine campus
Well, I
and
was going to say
projecting
the
forward in time.
thing that I'm most looking forward to be totally
Yes.
honest, is I have not watched that movie. I've seen clips because I was curious, but I've not watched that movie since I went to UCI. So I'm looking forward to
Yes.
seeing the campus in 1973 or whatever it was,
Yeah.
72. Um,
The library where you and I
yeah,
spent a
absolutely.
lot of time.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So before we get into the merch question, if you were to apply another preposition
Hmm.
to Planet of the Apes movies, since we've had beneath now,
Yes.
and there's from in the
Yes.
next movie,
Yes.
what would be the best unused
So I got I
preposition?
got I got two, and it
Okay.
assumes that we're going to have In fact, it might be two different movies in my alternate sequel that I just
There
cooked
we
up.
go.
I'll start with the second best one is versus the Planet of the Apes. So if
Oh,
we'd
okay.
assume that the humans, that Taylor goes out and like organizes a counterforce to the apes, it could be that conflict.
Hmm.
Or if we're exploring the Planet of the Apes, I'm going to go astride the Planet of the Apes.
Uh-huh. That's good.
That's
A stride.
astride the Planet of the Apes.
A
Yeah.
thwart. A thwart. I mean, apropos of what we were just saying, I chose Beyond or maybe or Across. I think Beyond's
Right.
better. Just seeing more of Planet of the
Yeah.
Apes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, what merch, if any, specific to this movie did you have?
Zero. Absolutely zero.
No. And I'm kind of surprised when they did when somebody did the Planet of the Apes action figures and play sets, there weren't any mutants, as far as I
Again,
can tell.
I mean, I didn't do research on this.
Yeah,
I
I
just
did
feel
look
like
it up. I couldn't find any mutants.
I feel like the toys really emerged with the TV show, or maybe after this movie. I don't know that it emerges before.
I think
does
it happened with as you said, the flurry of movies that were
Yeah,
being
so
made.
that's kind of to my thesis that the franchising didn't start to the next movie.
Yeah.
Because I don't think like the Mego, the toys that I'm aware of, right, are the Mego Planet of the Apes figures,
Right, right.
which I think were based on the TV show, not
right.
the movies.
But in terms of merchandising, there was an avalanche after the
Oh,
first movie.
there was merge, but I mean, well, yeah,
Yeah, there were like one
Ape
person,
City and all that stuff.
one person commented, if I put Planet of the Apes on a trash can, it's going to sell.
Right. But Al, I should do research on this. Maybe we do the next movie. I'll have done so.
All right.
But usually when I promises like that, I forget that I made them. So we'll see.
How about any merchandise you wish you had?
I mean, the honest to God truth is I don't want anything from this movie. But if I had to pick something because
Yeah.
it's our gimmick, how about the doomsday weapon, the Alpha and Omega bomb as a small paperweight?
Okay. All right. So I went back to what we were talking about with the original Planet of the Apes movie was a lawgiver statue.
Sure.
But this would be sitting outside the front door, in the
Right.
yard. It would, when solicitors came up, it would bleed from the eyes, and a wall of flames would go
Sure.
shooting up.
There you go. Do you have a big solicitor problem where you live?
You can see how welcome solicitors are to this home. All right, everyone. Well, that wraps up our discussion of Beneath the Planet of the Apes, and we will be happy to see you in our next episode.
Adios.
Well, that does it for this episode of Ancient Geeks and possibly the entire planet Earth. Thanks for listening. Please like and subscribe on the podcast app of your choice and leave us a review, or drop us a line at someancientgeeks@gmail.com. Visit us at our Substack, someancientgeek.substack.com, where we post regularly. And also look for us on Reddit, Facebook, Blue Sky, and other social media outlets. All content copyright 2026, Tom Grant and Stephen Taylor. Music by Reversed Image, who is findable on Pixabay. See you next time.
Oh, how do you do, Bright Eyes? Be with you in a second. Well, some neighbors dropped by and they brought their, what do you call this thing again?
The holy and everlasting bomb.
Right, and we're helping them fix their detonator Watamahuchi so that they can, how did you put that again?
Reveal our true selves unto the bomb.
That's it, yeah.
Well, all right, let's give that a try.